What's up, Broncos country, and welcome to another episode of Keep Your Eye on the Ball, your YouTube channel dedicated to all things Denver Bronco football. Even though I am wearing a Boston Red Sox shirt, yes, I am a Red Sox fan. Please leave a comment if that upsets you, or just leave a comment if you want to say looking sharp. And let's get into the episode. This week we get into our position reviews and we move on to the defensive backs. All 18 names in the defensive backs. And just to kind of give you a little bit of how the sausage is made around here, these things take a certain amount of time to make and produce and write. And I just want to tell you that I didn't think this through very well. And while I love talking Denver Bronco football, 18 players to do reviews on is excessive. So if I look a little haggard and a little worn out, it's because I am. But I'm always excited to talk football, and I'm always excited to give my thoughts on the roster. So without further ado, let's jump in. So this week we'll be covering our defensive backfield. Like I mentioned before, we're not doing a separate cornerback and safety position review just because we're running short on time. So this will be lumping everybody into one group. And as always, I'll be giving my starters, best backups, and best of the rest. Starters, let's start with the first cornerback spot, and we have Pat Surtain. Not much to say. He is the premier cornerback in the game. He is an all-pro. He should be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to get paid, sooner rather than later. Not much to say there. At the other cornerback spot, we have the one of the few training camp battles going on right now during training camp, and that is between veteran Levi Wallace, that was acquired from Pittsburgh, and third-round pick Riley Moss from last year. Moss didn't play a whole lot, and when he did, it was just on sub packages and special teams, but he does have that prototype size that you are looking for an outside guy. And for what it's worth, he did start the preseason game yesterday, and I thought he looked pretty good. So I think if he's healthy and he's not making too many mental errors as far as play in the base packages, I think that's going to be your starter. Nothing against Levi Wallace, but Levi Wallace is, he's a good depth guy, but he's not a starter. So it really should be Moss. And then going over to the nickelback, I have Jaquan McMillan retaining his job from last year. I think McMillan was easily one of our best defenders last year. Prototype activity and play and size, aggressiveness that you want from that spot. Absolutely just ferocious and run support. Developing more of a nose for the ball in the air. So love McMillan, and he was quite an addition that the scouting department found last year. Going over to the safety spot, you have PJ Locke. PJ, again, kind of like McMillan, really was a revelation last year, had mostly just been a special teamer and a backup, and last year showed that he was more than capable of being an impact starter, and earned a new deal in the offseason. And then moving over to the last spot, we have Sean Jones, who was our free agent acquisition from Miami. Jones already has a hamstring issue going on. I'm hoping that this isn't a nagging thing or a season-long thing, because safety is just not one of our deeper spots on the defense right now, and you're really going to need him. And he's basically the guy that's being counted on to replace Justin Simmons, so good luck there. So we'll see. Hopefully he's fully healthy, and they're just taking the precaution of giving him as much time as he needs to rest up in the preseason, be ready for the regular season, and there you have it. And we move on to our backups. Now we move on to the backups. First backup is going to be whoever the loser of the Riley Moss, Levi Wallace. Honestly, this is probably where Levi Wallace is going to fit, as being the first corner off the bench should anything happen to the starters. Then we move to Damari Mathis, who I thought played well in the preseason game yesterday. You could tell last season that it took a toll on him mentally to be the primary point of attack for opposing quarterbacks. He did not hold up to the scrutiny and the pressure of playing opposite Pat Surtain. which is disappointing because he did have a strong rookie season. So for him not to have that next step in his development was concerning. But I think he does have the ability, and he can bounce back from that. Then we have Trevon Smith. Smith was actually the primary kick returner yesterday, which was a little weird because I thought that would be like a job that would be given to like Marvin Mims or Jalen Virgil. Virgil actually did have a good kick return yesterday. Or maybe like a Jaleel McLaughlin or something like that. So maybe they're trying him out at punt returner and kick returner. And if they can have a primary or like one guy fill 2 spots, it's more beneficial to the roster and having more flexibility in what you can do on game day, because you can only dress 48 for game day. So then moving over to the safeties, I am taking a guy out of my backups and putting in a guy from my best from the rest, and I am actually putting in Devon Key for one of my backups. Key was brought in at the end of last year, mostly played special teams, but was the starter yesterday for the injured Sean Jones. I think that actually says a lot about what they think of Key. He does have some experience playing defensive back and safety, so there is some versatility there. And just like with Smith, if you can play multiple spots, that aids your effort in getting onto the 53. And then lastly, we have Delarrin Turner-Yell, who is going to start the season on the PUP list probably. From what I saw of Yell last season, he is a good special teamer, not a very good starter. That's no disrespect to Turner-Yell. I just didn't see what I would normally want out of a safety in him last year. He did get forced into action maybe before he was ready, but it's still what I saw wasn't impressive, and I think his role on the team is primarily as a special teamer. So now we get into the best of the rest. Believe me when I say that I researched this so I could give you some information. Also believe me when I say when there's not a ton out there, these will be guys that you see in the back end of the preseason game. They're in my best of the rest because pretty much every guy was playing in the fourth quarter of this game yesterday. I'll do my best to give a blurb. If I don't have enough, I'm sorry, there's not a ton out there for these guys. So moving along, Artie Green has good size for the position at cornerback. He was hurt yesterday. He did sign with Denver at the end of last season. Also could be a practice squad candidate. Then you have Quentin Newsome, undrafted rookie free agent from Nebraska. I like Newsome and thought he played pretty well at Nebraska. Thought he stood a good chance to be drafted, and then went undrafted and didn't play very well yesterday. So hopefully plays better going into the game against Green Bay. Then you have Reese Taylor, who I thought played pretty well, projects more of as a slot. And we picked him up from Kansas City last season, and I think if he doesn't make the roster, he does stand a good chance to make the practice squad. Then you have J.L. Skinner, who I think is going to be the biggest disappointment out of this, and putting him in the best of the rest is a bit of a bummer in that he was a well-regarded draft pick last year and just never got on the field. And when he did get on the field, especially yesterday, still doesn't look like it's clicking for him as far as where to be. He looks very hesitant on the field. So that's disappointing, and I really hope that something clicks for him because I want to see what he can do on the field because I think he could be a good player for us. Then you have Tanner McAllister. He is a safety and is an undrafted rookie free agent. You have Keidron Smith, undrafted rookie free agent, did have the interception yesterday. He has a ton of experience in starting 47 games, so you have to be good enough to start, and he started 47 games, so you can't really look that in the mouth too much. So we'll see if that translates to making the roster. And then you have Omar Brown, who is a safety from Nebraska. Brown does have some versatility as far as playing cornerback and safety. And again, as I say before, you always like guys that can play multiple spots. And then lastly, the team did add cornerback Caden Hayes from the New York Giants. Hayes has bounced around a little bit, but he does have special teams experience and could be looked at as a gunner. Those are your best of the rest. If I had to put a guess on who will actually make the roster, either through the active 53 or through practice squad, I would say Taylor, Skinner, and Brown. So, and again, I say that because I know those three are the best, not because I necessarily think they have the best chance. But, fingers crossed. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, but I'm also right about a lot of stuff too. So, there you have it. And we have completed it. In wrapping up another episode, I just want to say, again, thank you so much for all the positive feedback, all the not so positive feedback. Anytime that I can interact with people watching the show, it's a compliment, and I love talking Denver Bronco football. Next week, we'll be getting into the other big position group, which is the wide receivers. And then once that's over, we should only have 2 more spots, and those should be relatively neat and tidy to review. I'm hoping these start to get through a little bit faster because, like I said, this has been a challenge and it's been a slog, and I'm grinding for you guys, so you're welcome. As always, remember to like, remember to share, remember to subscribe, remember to buy me presents, and I'll talk to you next time. Until then, keep your eye on the ball. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Broncos country.
Hello, Broncos country.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.